Hi, everybody. I'm Steph, and this is Joe Butcher, a friend of mine. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. And for those that are watching this, you might know that I've done 4 episodes of a menopause blog called Menopause and Me. And I thought that for my 5th episode, rather than doing it in writing, that I'd do it on video. And my lovely friend here, Jo, decided that she would agree to being interviewed. So what we're going to do today is just look at perimenopause and menopause from the perspective of 2 different women. So thanks, Jo, for being here. Really appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you. So look, let's start with, if it's okay, why don't you tell everybody how old you are?
I am 52 years young.
52 years young. I should say how young you are.
Yeah.
How young you are. Yeah, so 52. And
Yeah.
Can you just give us a little bit of your kind of story, I guess, leading up to now, in terms of your experience around perimenopause and kind of what's happened for you?
Yeah, I think perimenopause is something I didn't realise happened. But if I look back on it now, I know about it. It was probably around my late 40s that I started noticing symptoms. So I suffer quite badly before my periods with headaches and nausea. Always have done. It's always, and that started to get longer and longer and longer. And then I had moments where I felt my body didn't belong to me. And so I think it was not, I got to a point where I became a little bit I couldn't function on certain days. And I couldn't tell you what it was. It's like almost like an alien had taken over my body. I just felt lethargic, tired, and things like that. So it was a bit before my 50th birthday that I decided to do something about it.
When you said about the nausea and the headaches got longer and longer, are you talking about the fact that they kicked in earlier before your period, or that they lasted longer times?
They kicked in. The nausea and the headaches used to be, a day or two before. I was getting it a week, and it was lasting a week. Especially the nausea. It sounds weird, but it was what I can only imagine what morning sickness feels like because of those hormones. That's been something I've had for duration. But it just kept getting, the period was longer and it was lasting for longer.
And before you went to the GP, did you, or even after actually, did you notice any other symptoms? Like, what was it like to sleep, or any of the classic things like hot sweats?
Sleeping was agitated. And I wouldn't say hot sweats. I'd get hot, and I'd sort of like have to just pull. Didn't get drenched or anything. I just used to get hot. But very agitated, very broken sleep. Especially again, that I could feel that as I was leading up to my period. And anxiety as well was another thing that sort of crept in gradually. Especially over COVID time, actually, as well.
Because you'd have been caught up in that, being 52. You'd have been caught up in that time, wouldn't you? Sort of 2020, 2021.
So sort of my COVID and my menopause sort of journey, so to speak. Although I had it was all sort of encompassing one, which gave me weight gain, which in turn has given me problems with my joints. So it's been the perfect storm for me, really.
It sounds it. But we're going to talk about a little bit more about the catalyst that took you to the GPs that day, which I'm sure, I don't know about you, but I think that's a memory that will never leave me. But we'll talk about that in a second. But if you go cast your mind back, because you said like this started for you, you think you may have started noticing the symptoms sort of late 40s. Right back then, what did you know about perimenopause and menopause back then? What would you say that you knew that sort of gave you that moment of, actually something's going on for me here?
Not an awful lot, to be perfectly honest. The word menopause has been around, but perimenopause was a new thing to me. It was something that I didn't know or understand about, or even knew existed. You just heard menopause and that, and your period stops and it's hot flashes and
Yeah.
and you know, all the classic symptoms of
Yeah.
night sweats and things like that. So yeah, not an awful lot at all, especially about perimenopause.
No.
Zilch. Yeah.
And it's funny, because actually what's just dawned on me is that was 4 years ago, and a lot has changed, hasn't it, in the last couple of years, particularly in terms of awareness and people really talking about symptoms. And actually, you know, you look on social, you look on YouTube, there's plenty of books about it now. So because we're talking about it a bit more, the symptoms are starting to become more familiar to people and they're recognizing them.
Yeah. And I read somewhere there's like 100 and something symptoms. You
Yeah,
know,
I bet.
it's not. Yeah. You know, it's not the same for everybody, but
no.
I can't remember how many were, so I was quite shocked. But you know, you hear about the classic stuff, don't you?
That's the thing, isn't it? Everyone talks about night sweats.
Yeah.
No, but nobody really talks about anxiety or low mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anxiety did, you know, I mentioned COVID. You know, looking back, when I wouldn't say I was an anxious person going forward, you know, but when COVID hit the first time around, the thought of going into a supermarket after we sort of come out of the first lockdown, I was absolutely beside myself. You know, and I sort of doing you know, one of the jobs that I do, my self-awareness is quite prevalent.
And I'll just say for the audience that are watching this that Jo works in a coaching space amongst other things, but yeah, so your awareness of who you're being and what you're doing in the moment is pretty high, isn't it? You've got a good awareness of yourself.
Yeah, and so it was like, what's going on? Why am I? You know, I was really fearful to go into Sainsbury's for the first time after the first lockdown, and it's sort of like I had to sort of go and explore what was happening for me, and I couldn't break out whether that was part of my perimenopausal symptoms or it was just the situation at the time. You know, and going anywhere where there's lots of people. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a great crowds person anyway. But you know, that was quite
just
something.
More, so much deeper, so much more impactful. I'm just sitting here wondering how many women were going through perimenopause in 2020 and 2021 and thought their anxiety was about COVID, but actually it wasn't.
That's
literally just come to me. Yeah. Brilliant. All right. Well, look, I want to talk a bit about your GP experience, because you talked about earlier on, the catalyst for you was the ongoing and very lengthy nausea and migraines, headaches, that kind of thing. And that was the moment where you were kind of enough's enough. I need to go and talk to somebody about this and just find out if there's something I can do. So what did you do to prepare for your GP appointment? What happened?
Well, I'll just put for this initially, I was always never going to have HRT. Right. And I will say Davina changed my mind with her program. And I thought, do you know what? Okay. And that was, so I did, I think probably because of the time it was not long before my 50th birthday, I had to do an e-consult. So, and they said, okay, well, we'll do your appointment with we've got a menopause nurse in our surgery. So they did that, and actually the appointment was supposed to be the day after my 50th birthday.
Right. Happy birthday.
There was a bit of a misunderstanding of whether I should be going in or not, and there was a lot of, so at that point I just went, oh, don't bother. I'll see, you know, I'll get the supplements and I'll do
grin and bear it.
Then I got to the following March, and we hadn't had our works Christmas do, and so we had it in March, and I organised it, and you know, we're doing all this bit, and then I couldn't go because I had one of these days where I just couldn't physically, you know, when I talked earlier about like aliens taking over my body, I just couldn't go. I just couldn't find it. And it wasn't anxiety, it was my whole body just didn't feel like it belonged to me. And I could have days like that, which are like 2 or 3 days like that, and and it's really hard to explain.
It is hard. I totally get that. It's so hard to explain, isn't it?
It's
Because
so hard to
when you
explain.
find yourself trying to explain it to someone else, you can't even find the words to describe what you
Yeah.
felt like in that moment. And when you try to, it sort of almost underplays it.
Yeah.
Because you just can't. It's so, I really get that.
I think the words I use, and my partner, he sort of said, "Do you feel disconnected?" And that's,
Great
and
word.
I think that's the right word. I felt so disconnected, and I just thought, right, okay, whatever I felt about the experience with the doctors, I really do need to do something at this point in time. So I rang them again, and then I have been with them constantly. And since then, it's been a really good experience, I've got to say. I saw the nurse, she gave me the prescription, which helped. You know, those symptoms went away. Not immediately, you have to, you know, let it bear in it.
Do its thing.
Yeah. So it helped. So I was given patches, overall 50 patches.
Yeah.
And then just recently, last few months, those symptoms have been creeping back to me. So I went back.
That's 2 years of patches.
I think I had a year of patches.
1 year of patches.
I had 1 year of patches, and then it started to sort of, I could feel things coming back. But I was more, because my awareness of them, I think I was more aware of what was coming back.
And you kind of go, this is a bit familiar. I know what this is all about again.
Yeah.
So I know what to do now.
So I got an appointment with the nurse again, and she upped my patches. So I had 2 patches, a bigger one and a little one. So and
patched up.
Yeah.
I've got that to come. I can't wait.
Then again, more recently, I've noted, I had a review with her. So she says, booking review. I had a review, and I said, it helped, but I'm still getting things. So now I'm on Everall 100, which is double dose, and I'm having progesterone tablets as well nightly. So that's only been for last month. I've got to say, you know, first couple of weeks I felt like I was going to burst into tears but I've read that was something to do with the progesterone. This week it's feeling a lot better.
Okay, all right. So it's early days now that you've upped 100.
Yeah.
And I think just for everybody that's watching this, in case you're contemplating going to the doctors and talking about HRT, Everall Sickwe is a patch, comes in a little pink box, and actually it's on one of my blogs because that's what I'm on. There we go. Mine's in pink. Jo's is in a white box because she's on 100. So, and the 50 is the number that determines the dosage, is how I understand it. Yeah. So, and then obviously as you're going through perimenopause into menopause, which it might be why you've had to up the dosage as well, your estrogen and progesterone levels drop even more. And obviously you then need to be topped up a little bit more. So it's just about having that higher dosage on your patch. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I wonder, just to close off then, if you were to think back over the last 4 years of your journey, and somebody's watching this that is maybe going through symptoms of low mood, anxiety, feeling depressed, disturbed sleep, some of the ones, when you said earlier there's like more than 100, I'm like, yeah, I think I've got 50% of those. Or had, not now. You know, let me think about some of the less classic ones. Burning mouth, throbbing feet, boiling hot hands, what else? Anxiety from driving anxiety. Lack of taste, a metallic taste in the mouth, like you're sucking an old penny. So, you know, all of these kind of symptoms that people don't talk about, but aching legs, jumping legs, aching bones, aching muscles. But yeah, if somebody's watching this and they're thinking, oh my God, that sounds a bit like what I'm going through, and I had no idea it might be perimenopause, what advice would you give them, given your experience over the last 4 years?
I would recommend that they contact their GP and go through that and be insistent. I mean, I'm fortunate that they've got somebody in our practice that specialise in that, but yeah, just be insistent. There's lots of stuff, including Steph's blogs, about menopause now and perimenopause. If you haven't seen the Davina things, I would advise watching those, because I didn't know perimenopause existed. So I think that might have been when I sort of realised, or somebody mentioned it to me. But that was the actual catalyst for me. program to sort of go and get HRT. And I would say that to, you know, go and have a chat with your doctor about it. There are lots of books out there. I think the Davina one's very good, and there's Louise Newson, and there's the Balance app as well, which I've used to if you've got those symptoms. I think the Balance app's quite good, because you can write down what your symptoms are, and you've got that army of evidence to take to the doctor.
And there it is. That's the thing, isn't it? You know, I've heard so many stories from people that say, I go there and they won't listen, and they think I'm too young, or you know, I haven't got enough symptoms. But you're absolutely spot on. I think, you know, that having that army of evidence of this is what's happening over this period of time, this often, this is how it's making me feel, that there's nowhere to turn. It's like, this is the presenting problem, therefore I need some support to deal with it. But it's when we go into and as sad as it sounds, going into the GP and being vague about it is not going to cut it. We've just got to be a lot clearer about what's going on for us in order to get the support that we need. Brilliant, Jo. Well, look, I can't thank you enough. Thanks for being here, and for making this this vlog with me today. I really appreciate your time and your honesty and your openness. Thanks so much.
Anytime. Okay, thanks, Steph.
No bother. I'm just going to end this.